Hello friends, welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Mel Rose, and today we're going to make a preview of the coming Decan, which starts Thursday, May 11th through the 20th of 2023. This is the 14th 10-day segment of the year since the beginning of the calendar year, January 1st. And it also represents the third and final 10-day segment of the sun's transit in the land of Taurus. So when the sun is in Taurus, it's our work, social, and civic lives really coming to revolve around and think about and work toward financial security, material security, comfort, that sense of safety that we need to continue doing the things that we do in our lives, the work that we're doing in the world, right? So it's about establishing comfort and security. And there's a new tarot card that comes with this 10-day segment. It is the Seven of Pentacles. Taurus is an earth element symbolism sign. Pentacles in tarot represent earth element symbolism. And that's really about the the material resources you possess and what you're willing to do with them in terms of work, expenditure, investment of time, expertise to create something of value for yourself. So here we have the Seven of Pentacles. Keywords for this are hard work, perseverance, and diligence. And really this is a point where somebody has already put a lot of time and effort and love and knowledge and material resources and work into making something grow. This is, you know, your metaphorical abundance that you've been working hard to build, right? And so, you know, at this point, we're not at a point yet where we can really harvest this abundance. If you think of these as fruits of the vine, you know, we've been working hard. We see them growing. It's going well. Success is on the horizon, but there's still more to do. Okay, we still have to stay engaged. With a seven, there's sometimes a tendency to maybe get distracted, like the Seven of Cups, or the Seven of Wands, where you can be distracted by, you know, people asking you to defend the ground you're on rather than moving forward. Or with the Seven of Swords, you have somebody sort of maybe making off with some ideas or some intellectual property while other people are distracted. So, you know, that this is a pay attention sort of vibe. It's a stay in the game. Stay working on that thing that you have been trying to get some value out of, and you will have success. You just have to stay engaged. Okay, don't get bored and walk away right now, and don't try to harvest these fruits early. They won't have the same value for you. Okay, so this week the moon starts off a waning gibbous, which is after the full of the moon, and the moon starts to wane. It starts to get smaller from our perspective. And at this point, we want to be we want to be looking back on the last few weeks, how things have gone for us. And we want to be thinking about what it is that no longer works for us. And this is really helpful because the last few weeks have really been Mercury retrograde, right? So Mercury retrograde will actually make you turn around and reflect on things and have to redo things or slow down and follow through. Dot your T's, cross your I's, that kind of stuff. So you know, in the waning gibbous moon, we're reflecting on that stuff, and we're thinking about what no longer works, so that we can begin to think about how we're going to release it, how we're going to let it go. But this is the planning phase of that. So thoughts, attitudes, dispositions, also stuff and things. If it's no longer working for you, if it's actually what you consider to be useless or cluttering up your creative spaces, either at work or at home, now is the time to be hatching a plan as to how we're going to release those things. Friday comes and we're at that third quarter moon, and that's when we shift gears out of planning what we're going to get rid of and into actually actively pushing things out. And you know, that third quarter moon culminates in Aquarius. So we're kind of planning with our collective, with our collaborators, our allies, our cohorts, like what doesn't work, you know, not just for us as individuals at home in our personal lives, but what isn't working, in the collective space? What isn't, what is maybe working for some people but not working for other people? Or what is it that is, that we can let go of to provide some buoyancy, some general uplift for the community? And then that moon moves on into Pisces, and it becomes a little bit more, the moon in Pisces is very, very feeling. It's very sensitive, almost a little more on the psychic side. Okay, so we're going to slip into that more psychic vibe for a couple of days as we start to actively try to release. And with Pisces, I'm going to say idealism, and so that's what we're going to release. We're going to release idealism around certain things that we know, aren't really reflecting the ideal. And we're also going to be releasing some sort of emotional crutches and some boundaries, some rigid thinking or ways of being around things. So we start on Friday with this Decan. It actually starts on Thursday, but those are basically lunar aspects. They're a little bit challenging lunar aspects. So, if you think about the last week and a half, it energetically has been a really bumpy ride. I had some challenges. I wouldn't be surprised if you all had some challenges, especially in that run up to that second eclipse that was on Friday with the full moon in Scorpio. Very reflective vibe, very self-revelatory vibe, a revelatory vibe in general. We're finding things out. We're becoming hip to new information, right? So this has been a lot of ups and downs. And by the time we come to the end of the week, this week though, things are going to get easier. And that's what I want to emphasize here. On Friday the 12th, as that moon is becoming the third quarter moon, we also get the culmination of this Venus trine to Saturn. Culmination meaning we've been working with this energy for a while, but now it is at its strongest point. For today and the next couple of days, this vibe is at its most clear and consistent with us. And this is the vibe that has helped us, even if you don't realize it, has helped us get through some of those ups and downs of the past week and a half. And now it's bringing in even more stability, because this vibe, Venus trine Saturn, really is a lot like, yes, I may be struggling to get what I want right now. However, I feel like everything's going to be okay, right? It's reassurance, because trine brings in that reassurance. It brings this sort of grace and ease of things functioning. With a Venus between, Venus rules Taurus. So it's about those physical comforts, that sense of safety. It's about having the people we love close to us, because Venus is in Cancer, about being protective and very loving and generous with the people that we like to keep close. Saturn is our foundation builder. Saturn is our structures and networks for support. It wants us to feel supported. It wants us to feel as though we're standing on solid ground. We've got a roof over our head. We have the space we need to do what we need to do. We have the comfort and the supplies and the safety to do the work that we want to do in the world. So that trine vibration brings a lot of grace and ease, to the point where you might not really notice what it's doing for you, but it really is just giving us this sense that things are going to be okay, even if we're struggling, even if things are changeable, even if we've worked so hard and we're just not sure about what's going to come of this. The message is to stick with it, okay? Especially to stick with those choices that are building your sense of security, comfort, and safety in life. And Mercury is going to be sextile to both of those that day. And that sextile vibe offers us tools. It makes things work. It puts things in motion. It generates something positive. So that's really cool. Mercury is retrograde until Sunday. So there's more of a planning vibe and a reflecting vibe than there is an actual going forth and doing things vibe. So, but Mercury working with Venus and Saturn is a very positive thing, and it's just keeping us very optimistic, and we are able to negotiate Mercury the comfort and balance, stability that we want. Then coming up on Sunday, since we've passed that third quarter moon, we're now in a waning crescent. This is the time when we are actively, physically and emotionally and spiritually and mentally trying to release those things, thoughts, attitudes, disposition, stuff and things that are no longer working for us, that are getting in the way of our ability to create a life that we'd like to celebrate. So on Sunday with that waning gibbous moon, again, in Pisces, so the things that we're working to release, we're like dissolving rigidity around things, and we are also releasing maybe some idealization of people and things that, you know, we had engaged in, but we realize now it just isn't working for us, and probably just isn't as ideal as we thought it was, right? So, and that's what happens, you know, you go into something thinking it's ideal, and then you find out why it's not. And then you get another higher ideal. Okay, so on Sunday, with that waning gibbous moon in Pisces, Mercury goes direct after 3 weeks. So Mercury goes retrograde 3 or 4 times a year. It's retrograde for 3 weeks. It backtracks along the path it's already been on the wheel of the zodiac. And then, so for the next 3 weeks, it's going to be redoubling over the same amount of area. And that's what we call the retrograde shadow. So we'll still be in the shadow of the retrograde through the first. But if you're one of those people who is powerfully affected by the Mercury retrograde, you know, in terms of having trouble making your tech work, having trouble communicating, having communications break down, you know, struggling in traffic because people are acting wild, that kind of thing, you know, understand that when Mercury goes direct, it's going to be a little bit less of that. We still have to be on our toes. The retrograde shadow is through the first. We still want to be paying attention, reading our contracts, making sure we understand the agreements we're getting into, right? But it is smoother sailing in our day-to-day thoughts, plans, technology use, and communication. Then coming up on Monday the 15th, we're still that waning gibbous moon. It's going to move on into Aries, and that's really more about initiative from the heart. It's about taking action and starting something new, which is great because we are coming up to that new moon. It's going to take several days, but you know, we do want to take initiative at this time. There's an action in terms of pushing out the things that aren't working for us, right? And Monday also, Mars rules Aries, right? So we've got this Mars, Mars is in Cancer, but we have this Mars signaling to Aries that we're ready to take action when it comes to those things we idealize, when it comes to those things that we want to believe or have faith in. And Mars in this trine condition, that trine makes it really easy for us to make waves, to get into good trouble, to speak up for ourselves, to defend what we know to be right, to stand up for what we know to be right, okay, and to act according to, I said our spiritual or creative ideals here, but really just to act according to what is ideal to us, you know, in terms of justice, in terms of what is fair, in terms of what is right, especially for ourselves. Aries is a very of the self vibe. Mars is a very of the self vibe. It's about what I want and what I'm trying to have for myself in this life. Okay. So, you know, Mars in Cancer, not very direct all the time, might be a little more comfortable working with Pisces here because they're, you know, Mars is in a water sign and Pisces is also in a water sign. It's a very watery planet. So this is an overwhelming fiery vibe, but think like warm fire, and think about a little bit of warm water, but think about taking a little bit of initiative, right, to just sort of stir things up and make people think and think about things, right? Okay, so that's Monday, and then Tuesday the 16th, we're still in that waning gibbous moon in Aries, taking action to release things that no longer work for us. Jupiter moves on into Taurus that day, and this is really good. Jupiter goes through one sign approximately every year. So Jupiter moved into Aries last May, and you know, that's been all about, Jupiter is our good fortune planet, our planet for expanding our sense of what we can be, do, and have. It's about higher education, more travel, just having bigger, better experiences. So Jupiter in Aries was saying, when you take action on those things that you want to have a bigger, better experience from, then you're going to see good fortune come out of it, right? And now Jupiter is moving on into Taurus on Tuesday the 16th. So here I am recording this approximately a week ahead. We're sitting at Jupiter 29 degrees right up until Monday. And that's a very powerful position for Jupiter. So now through Monday the 15th, you really want to be taking action on those things that may represent a leveling up for you, that may represent, having more of what you'd like to be, do, and have, or that kind of thing. So Jupiter moving on to Taurus moving into Taurus on Tuesday, though, this is really about knowing what we're worth and calling in that satisfaction, okay? Jupiter, again, very expansive, very generous with us, just always wanting us to have bigger, better things for ourselves so that we feel like we are being successful in life. Taurus, again, about establishing that sense of comfort and safety and security in our lives. In Taurus, with Venus, we like to have nice things, right? So Jupiter is moving into Taurus for a year, and it's going to say, okay, what kind of nice things do you want to have? What kind of good fortune do you want to get here to especially to establish comfort and security for yourself in life. And we're also going to be learning some lessons or thinking about the difference between indulgence and overindulgence. So in indulgence, that means you've been Saturn style taking care of business up to a certain point, and then you get an opportunity to maybe go out and have an extra nice meal, or to buy yourself something nice, or to get into a bigger place, that kind of thing. So you can indulge a little because you have taken care of your business and you are well, you're well resourced enough, you have enough money and support that you can go ahead and have a little indulgence, right? But Jupiter also brings some overindulgence. Jupiter out of balance is still giving. It's just giving too much, right? It's being overly generous. And Jupiter will do that with you. If you say, yes, I'm receiving this, I'm receiving as much of this as I can get. I mean, you will take as much as you can get, and you might get too much. So be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. We can go beyond security into overspending. We can go beyond security into sort of hoarding or miserly behavior. We don't want to do any of that. We just want to, feel the good fortune and contribute to our own good fortune. Jupiter sort of matches your efforts, right? So when you are, saving up your pennies, or when you are doing other things that help to establish your security in life, Taurus style, that is when Jupiter is going to show up and say, okay, well, I'm going to give you some good fortune for worrying about this, for thinking about this. Then we go to Wednesday the 17th, and that waning crescent moon is getting really small, and it starts in Aries and it moves on into Taurus that day. So we're moving from taking action to push things out, to really also pushing things out in an effort to feel more safe and stable and comfortable at home, right? So, if that's just like getting rid of some piles that are in the way, or, repairing parts of our home, or getting rid of the brush in the yard, that kind of stuff. We want to be dispersing material items at this point, right? Getting rid of our clutter so that we can feel more well supported in our creative space, so that we can do the creative work that we need to do. And on that day, planets often make a final aspect with Pluto before or right after they move on into the next sign. And here's Jupiter making a square with Pluto. And like I said, this is good fortune in tension, okay, in a conversation of tension with power, with the power of Pluto to transform our lives. And Pluto is retrograde, so right now what we're doing is transforming on the inside. We're integrating the changes that we've been through. We're integrating the changes that we're going through right now. We're learning to embody the changes rather than resist them. We're learning. We're sort of just getting a new perspective on how things have transformed for us in our lives, especially over the last year or so. And we're taking that in and trying to make it a part of ourselves at this time. And Jupiter in that square aspect says that, we have this strong desire to succeed, right? To have those bigger, better things that we want to be, do, and have. And especially in Taurus, that's about having nice things and having comfort and security, like physical resource richness. So we have this really strong drive, Pluto, to succeed, but we don't want to let greed or impatience pull us off of track, right? So Pluto can be a little bit impatient. Mostly it's very slow moving, right? It takes us through these like highs of emotional experiences and lows of emotional experiences, so that after we've been through several of those, we are a changed person. But sometimes, Pluto comes along and says, you've not been working very hard. You've not been noticing the highs and lows, and you're not making the transformations. We're just going to pick you up and move you over here. That's the power of Pluto right there. So that can be a little impatient. Like, okay, well, you didn't go along the track like you were supposed to, so we're just going to push you right along that track, right? And then greed, that's just another imbalance of Jupiter, where we, rather than indulging ourselves in a couple of nice things, we get greedy about the nice things, and then we just want to sort of have all the good things, regardless of how well that contributes to our sense of security and safety in life, right? So we want to be careful not to get greedy and not to get impatient while we feel this strong drive to succeed at what we're working on. Do the work, put it in, absolutely. Especially do the work that allows you to release things that that are getting in the way of your ability to create a life you would celebrate. And then on Thursday, the 18th, Moon still in Taurus, still releasing, still doing physical work, still making it about our comfort and sense of security, especially at home. The Sun goes sextile to Neptune, okay? So there's increased psychic awareness with the Sun sextile to Neptune. Neptune is very much about, again, idealization, the dream, the faith, the belief, and it can also, relate to our intuitive faculty, our psychic, whatever your relative psychic power is, it relates to that. So this is helping us visualize ideal circumstances, or even idealize circumstances that we would like to see happen in our lives, right? So Sun is that work, social, and civic part of your life, who you are out in the world, not who you are at home, right? And we're just going to have better intuition, better perception, better subtle perception of the way things are going out there in the work, social, and civic sphere. And, this helps us see what we think those things could be. It makes us, want to formulate a plan to make things better. And that's awesome. Mercury sextile and sextile is, again, working and positive. So it generates good outcomes. When you do take the opportunity to visualize how things could be better for you in your work, social, and civic lives here, something good is going to come of that. And then Mercury, again, sextile to Saturn, just as it was up here with Venus trying to Saturn, where Venus is still trying to Saturn through the 20th, you see there. Okay, so this is really adding mental clarity to all of our actions. It is, these are good vibrations for taking care of business. That's what TCB is. Positivity for organizing and establishing security in our lives. By this time, Mercury is direct again. It's still in its shadow, but it's moving direct. We get some more clarity. We have a very, because of Saturn, a very responsible frame of mind, right? A very structured and organized frame of mind. And that's a good time to just sort of get things done in terms of your work, social, and civic lives, taking care of business at work, but also taking care of business at home for yourself, pay the bills, get the rent, fix the drawer in the bathroom, take care of that kind of stuff too. That's day-to-day stuff that you can take care of right now. And that'll be with you through the 28th. And this one will be with you through the 24th. So you've got several days from Thursday, and obviously we're working up to the culmination of these aspects, right? So these vibes are all kind of in play already, just getting stronger on the day when you see them. Go ahead and work with that increased sensitivity to what might work better, and allow the mental clarity that comes from that to help you, build, to help you strengthen, to help you fortify and reinforce what does support you. On Friday the 19th, we have the new moon, okay? And this is the low ebb of our creative cycle. It's opposite the full moon, right? So the low ebb of our creative cycle, this means that we bring ourselves back into the present moment on Friday before we shift out of this mode of active release back into thoughtful goal setting and planning. Okay, so at the new moon, we have this clean slate. We've been pushing out the stuff and things, right? Getting rid of things that are cluttering up our creative space and getting in the way of our ability to feel like we're making progress in life. And that new moon does happen in Taurus. This will be a great time to be reflecting on our comfort out in the world, but also in our home space, how supported and secure we feel. And so that's what the plans that we make for the coming weeks are going to be about, is establishing more comfort for ourselves in our home space, in our private lives, comfort, security, safety, that kind of stuff. And then it will move on into Gemini after it culminates the new moon. And that's, after the culmination of the new moon is when the moon begins to wax again. We're in the increased part of our creative cycle, where all this time we've been in the decreased part. Now we're going to move on into that increased part of our creative cycle, start setting intentions, thinking about what we want, making goals, making plans that we can then act on after that next first quarter moon. So on Friday, that new moon in Taurus is a good time to sit with yourself quietly. It's a good time to bring yourself into the present moment. Notice how things are in your life right now and what you think you could do to make them better. And then coming up on Saturday, the 20th, Mars moves on into Leo from Cancer. And, Mars in Leo, Mars rules Aries, the fire sign. Mars is very self-centered, very driven, very much about that fire, passion, spark, enthusiasm, and sort of assertive impulse. And in Leo, you just get this really confident, sort of grandiose sense of your capability. You might actually think you can do more than you actually can do, but it's great feeling to have, because it can help you really take care of a lot of business. We're more direct when Mars is in Aries, and we prefer uncomplicated means of getting to where we're going, right? So the plans we make are not going to be complex. We're not going to go for, the kinds of manifestations that take about 17 steps, and some of them are backwards, right? We're just really we're gonna see point A, which is where we are, and we're gonna see point B, which is where we want to go, and we're gonna go, okay, we're gonna try to cut a straight path right there, just like sunlight, just a straight beam, right? And also, because it's moving on into another sign, Mars is making an aspect with Pluto that day, culminating an opposition to Pluto that we've already been working with. And this really gives us more drive to succeed. See, we had this strong drive to succeed earlier in the week, expressed with Jupiter square to Pluto in retrograde. Pluto is still retrograde, will be through October. So more of this strong drive to succeed. We are a little bit competitive, and we want to think about competition and cooperation. You can use competition and cooperation, but we don't want to become forceful. We don't want to become pushy. We don't want to become impatient with others in our desire to get what we want, right? And we really want to be thinking about, this is the conflict that comes up here is, do I reflect on myself and integrate the change that I've been through, or do I keep moving forward and trying to make changes in my life? And the truth of the matter is, it's a little bit of a both and. You've got to find a balance between the time that you spend in reflection and trying to integrate the changes you've been through, and continuing to, work on yourself and continuing to, expand your idea of what you can be, do, and have. So that's Mars taking initiative, moving us into the future, moving us forward, getting us from point A to point B as quickly and as efficiently as possible, while Pluto is also back here asking us to reflect on our actions and reflect on, the things that have gone, how things have gone for us over the past year or so. Now, after Saturday comes Sunday the 21st. That will be the next Decan. That's Decan 15, and it starts with the sun moving on to Gemini. So that's just your reminder. Again, this is the last 10 days of the sun's transit in the land of Taurus. And if I I know I haven't mentioned happy birthday to anybody in a long time. If I have missed your birthday as a Taurus, I'm sorry about that, but happy birthday to you, my Taurus watchers. And I think that's all I have to say about it today. If you have any questions or input on this, I'm wide open to it. Please go ahead and leave a comment in the comments section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It all helps me out a lot. And I will see you all here in the next video.